Welcome to the Fat Fueled Family Podcast, where every week Danny and Maura Vega discuss topics that help families live a healthy and active lifestyle with their little ones, including nutrition and training, peaceful parenting, education, and mindset. To stay up to date, make sure to hit subscribe on this podcast and check out the blog at www.fatfueled.family. You can also find them on Facebook and Instagram at dannyvega.ms, at fatfueledmom, and at fatfueledkids, and Fat Fueled Family on YouTube. Enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, sorry for the interruption, but I have an exciting announcement I wanted to share with you. You all know how fond I am of the carnivore diet. I started it in August of 2017, and for the most part, in the past 3 years, I've stuck to it. I've teamed up with my great friend Adam Shibley, host of the Million Pound Mission podcast, to create a course for any of you who are curious about the carnivore diet. It's called Couch to Carnivore, and this course covers the range of diets from low carb to carnivore. You don't have to be following a ketogenic diet or even a low carb diet to start. We take you through 7 phases from the standard American diet all the way to strict carnivore. Once you finish this course, you'll be armed with all the right information to decide which variation works best for you. In addition, we offer follow-along videos, recipe ideas, and all the great community building and support that Adam is known for. You can check that out at couchtocarnivore.com. That's couchtocarnivore.com. Okay, so we are live. What's up to everybody who is joining us? This is going to be broadcast on our podcast feed in a couple of weeks, but this is such a hot topic that we wanted to go live with it. So we have 15 questions. Feel free to ask questions while we record. I don't know if we'll get to them because, like I said, we collected questions beforehand, and give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down if the audio is bad or anything like that. But let's get to this, my love.
Yeah, so we've already done, kind of our education philosophy. I'm going to go into that. You want me to read that?
Well, I was going to read it, but if you want, you can just...
I'm just going to give a little intro for people who are interested, because there's a lot when it comes to homeschooling, and people ask me, what about homeschooling? It's like one of those loaded questions where someone's like, what's keto? I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you have, have 4 years?
Talk about all the stuff that
you've got 5 years.
Yeah.
for me to educate you. So we've already done podcasts. If you go back into our podcast, check out our education philosophy, check out our episode with the libertarian homeschooler, check out our podcast with Anthony J. We go over, like the history, the background, and like philosophically why we homeschool. But with what's going on right now, we need to get practical answers to people quick. So that's the purpose of this episode.
So I just want to lead off with this. The percentage of students who were homeschooled doubled from 1999 to 2012, according to the National Center for Education Statistics. The increase leveled off in 2016 when about 1.7 million students were estimated to be homeschooled. Look, I can't even begin to imagine how much of an increase in homeschoolers we're going to see this month, but I'm sure it will be massive, and I'm sure there will be a lot of pushback from the supporters of the public school system monopoly. For example, in May, Harvard Magazine published an article titled "The Risks of Homeschooling." It was a pathetic attempt, and they even misspelled arithmetic in the graphic.
Hysterical.
And some people may think
the Bible. Remember, they put the Bible right on the front.
And some may think, well, maybe they were making fun of how dumb homeschooled children are, but they actually corrected it later. So yeah. Anyways, this has been a hot topic in the last few months, and we've gotten countless questions on it for a while now. Right now, there's a lot of discussion over children in schools and how they plan to open back up again. Frankly, a lot of people are terrified about the potential consequences of changing how children do school. We're on uncharted territory, and this is a huge experiment. And while we have heard all about the masks, social distancing, and, for lack of a better word, bubble wrapping of our children to reduce the risk of contracting a virus with a 0.2% mortality rate, and it approaches 0 with children, I haven't seen much talk at all on what the implications of implementing this on developing brains are. So how will their social development be affected when they can't receive nonverbal cues from their classmates or their teachers because everyone is masked up? There's a lot to unpack there, and I personally won't touch it because to us, it's irrelevant. We mourn with all the parents who simply cannot make homeschooling work, but we will stick to our wheelhouse, and that is helping those who do want to start homeschooling. So like Maura said, we've done several episodes on our podcast and others on our philosophy, the history of schooling, and other important education information. So we encourage you guys to scroll through our podcast feed and check those out. And we'll definitely add links to those episodes. Let me put that as a reminder.
Yes.
And we asked you questions and you guys delivered. So let's get started.
You may go over.
Yeah.
Okay. So the number one question, and I got a lot of this question, and I'm gonna have to talk about this though, because so they asked me, what curriculum do I use? There is no simple answer here. I know that everybody wants to just have a simple answer, and so do I. I want to just be told what to do. So I definitely find curriculums that are set up that way for me, because that's just how I am. But there is no answer for this. You have to choose. You're probably going to be pulling from multiple curriculums. So we'll give you a few of the examples that we have found. And I'll be sharing whatever I find, but really do a search. I am cheap, so everything that I use is free because I have the internet, and I don't think that I should need to pay that much money for certain things. And there's a lot of really good free resources out there, because people that usually homeschool are doing it for the cause, so they're willing to contribute in any way. So with that said, our first one, and I absolutely love this for elementary age, would be all-in-one. It's called Easy Peasy Homeschool. The website would be allinoneHomeschool.com. We're going to put all of this in the show notes. This one is really great. It is also faith-based, which I like, but if that's not your thing, you can opt out of that part. You don't have to include that part into your curriculum. So you choose your classes there. But I really like it for young kids. Really, like my kids are the perfect age for this, and it's all laid out for you. It is completely free. You can either print all the worksheets out, or you can buy her workbooks for like $5 on Amazon. And I love it because it'll say, day 1, do this. Click here.
I love that.
Number 2, do this. Click here. Like, this is how I like to have it spelled out for me. And so I really, really like that one. Now, we also love Rompaw curriculum. I haven't really dug deep into it lately, but I'm really
We should go back.
thinking that I'm going to like it for Desmond now that he is 9. It
There's
has
no
a really good,
textbooks.
there are no textbooks. Everything is online courses. And I think I'm really going to like it when it comes to history, economics, those types of courses, because the economics that we learn in school I honestly have no idea, because it didn't make any sense to me.
Witchcraft.
It's pure sorcery. And I think they kind of do that on purpose. Now looking back, I think that they confuse us on purpose. That way, when the experts tell us what to do, we're just like, okay. Yeah, I don't understand anything, so I guess I'll listen to the experts.
Yeah, economics is something that is very not focused on history. It's funny, history is focused on, but we focus on wars and presidents and politics, and that's not the only thing I want to teach my boys about history. And the other thing, what were you
so
saying
we also have, I really, really love.
Wait. But what were you saying? The other thing, my love, the other thing that we were just talking about. We were just talking about
economics.
Oh yeah, economics. Super important to teach the kids economics. Like
real economics, real life economics,
and
not this weird stuff that they teach.
Yeah, and we'll spend more time on economics with them than they would have spent in school. And we'll talk about some of the ways we do it. But the Tuttle Twins, it's gonna come up. But yeah, the Tuttle Twins is one of
them. Extra Math with an X, spelled with an X.
Amazing.
Extramath.org. It's an online tutor. I love this for drills, for math. Like Desmond right now, he's just working on his addition, subtraction, like drills that tracks your kids' progress. Extramath.org. Love it. Free. And philosophyforchildren.org. I guess that's the one you've been using.
Yep.
It's free.
Yep.
Awesome. I really like, I've also been liking Khan Academy, Khan. Khan Academy. There's a lot of free stuff on there as well, but there's so many resources out there. A lot of people really like Classical Conversations. It's something that I really, really, really love their method, because what they do is they teach you how to learn. Okay, so it's the way that, the only thing is that it's very like organized, and that's not my thing. So if someone can tell me day 1, Classical Conversations, do this, that would be great. But they're like, join this group, read this. I'm like,
I'm into that stuff, because I'll just I'll have topics.
So maybe I'll have you read about it, because the way that they do it, I think you'll really like it too. I'll have to explain it to you.
Yes,
but classical conversations is a very popular method of homeschooling for curriculum. And here's the thing: when it comes to curriculum, don't be shocked if you miss like 50,000 days, because it's not perfect like school.
Yeah, and we don't stop in the
And
summer.
you don't stop in the summer. You could do it on the weekends. And if you don't want to do it one day, who cares? You know what I mean? So, okay, next question. You want to answer it?
Okay, so this is a great one. I work from home about 4 hours a day. Will I be able to give homeschooling the time it needs? Well, I just asked some questions for us. So right now it's the summer, so it's not really full on school time. So we don't have, and we just went through this, the house arrest and everything. And so like during the house arrest, we didn't have, like, businesses were closed. So all of Desmond's chess club became virtual chess club. He didn't do Steam anymore, but Steam was finishing up anyway. And so right now, how many hours do we spend? When I do homeschool with the boys right now in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I spend at the most an hour, 1 hour. How do the boys spend their time? That's the other thing. Like, you may not be thinking that what's happening is actually education, but you have to start to realize that everything that they do is education. Like Desmond spent, oh my gosh, my love, I took so many pictures. I'll show you. He spent like hours drawing the perfect, like, it's a female character, which I sucked at drawing females. Dean drew a whole book. And they were there by themselves because I was working in the office, and they were looking at tutorials and drawing quietly. And I didn't even do the homeschool today, and so you can spend an hour a day. And then how do we view our role in their learning? Because we
that's
wanted
very
to,
important.
That's important because we're not the teachers. So, like, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and there's also something I wanted to say about what you were talking about. So remind me to talk about being a teacher, but once you start to homeschool, even if you go into it thinking that you're going to replicate school at home, you are in for a really, really hard life. You're in for a rude awakening, and you are going to learn so much about, I mean, when you sit there to homeschool my kids now, because now that you take, like you're taking a more active role now, don't you think to yourself, almost shocked at how in the world they keep those kids there all day? Like, my kids can barely focus when I'm teaching them something boring like math. Now, don't get me wrong. When my kid is interested in something and my kid wants to learn something,
you can't pull him away.
You can't pull him away from it. He doesn't even want to go to sleep. So education is not the same as school. It's just not. Schooling, and education.
I know it's semantics, but we really believe.
I know it's semantics
strongly
but
in this.
Schooling is when you take a bunch of people and make them fall in line and like follow a certain set of standards. That's schooling, okay? But education is self-education. It's all self-taught, okay? Till this day, anything that I have ever known or learned, even though I went to school, I went to public school, I went to college, like everything that I ever learned was self-taught, okay? In the end, because it's still something that I had to have a passion for. So you're going to be honestly in for
you're going to learn a lot about yourself, and you're going to learn, hopefully, because if you don't, it's like when I used to get into it with Dean, it was this power struggle. And, whenever this happened, I would be like, I'm not bending. And it just so happens that Dean is me and Maura, and he ain't bending. And like,
but even Des, like, I'm not going to sit there and have him cry.
Yeah.
Like,
and then you're not going to, parents, it's okay. You don't have to be in control. And guess what? It doesn't have to look the way you think it looks. That's what I would say all right away. I think a lot of people have a view of homeschooling. Some of them are probably terrified about it, because they think they're going to teach their kids. And some of them may think they may be excited about it, and then they may be let down when
they think they're going to teach their kids.
Yeah.
Something else.
And that's not, you're going to learn. And so just know that going into it, that it may not look the way you want it to look. And just know that it's not our job to mold them or shape them into anything other than what they are. We're just here, and we're going to talk about that.
And that's our role. So that's our role. That's where our role comes in. Our role is not really, I don't see myself as a teacher. I see myself as a facilitator, and I am an observer. And even more so, I read something by, of course, none other Anna Martin. Who else would I be talking about when it comes to education? Where she said that we should be experts in our children. Like, we should know exactly what my kids need, exactly, like,
and we're going to talk about
we
that
become
too.
experts. Like, look, I'm an expert in Danny. for a lot of stuff. Like, I'm
Me
like,
too.
I knew you were going to do that before you did it. I know that this is what you think you're doing right now, but you're not. And like, I know. And then he's like, well, you don't know my thoughts. I'm like, but did I? I kind of did. Anyway.
Sometimes.
So I do a lot. Am I intuitive or am I not?
Yes,
do I
you are.
always know what's going on? Okay.
And we're gonna go deeper into the idea of like knowing the kids, because there's a question on that.
But anyways, your job is to become an expert. Your job is to observe your child, put them in front of resources, and give them the tools where they can
Facilitator.
thrive.
We're facilitators.
Yeah. And okay, this is number 3. How do you find the right curriculum and how many hours a day do you school?
By
kind
age
of along
too.
by age, kind of along the same lines. Okay, let me just get this out there because I want you guys to know your practical options here. So if your kid is coming from the I know, but I need to cover this unless this is a question. I'm going to talk about like their choices as far as virtual school, Florida virtual, government school curriculum.
Yes.
Because they need to know that before any of this.
Of course.
So really quickly, I just want to give you these semantics, okay? I only know for the state of Florida, you have to look up the laws in your state, but they're probably similar. We're like in between. We're not super lenient and we're not super strict here. So here are the options. If you're in Florida and you're pulling your child from the public education system or even private school, the private schools, these are your choices. 1, you can enroll with the state as a homeschooler. You can enroll with Florida virtual homeschooling, where they're going to just keep on their little curriculum that they were doing already, but you're going to be in charge now. You're going to have to be there. Well, the kids, if they're older, like Desmond's age, they could probably just do it on their own. Depending on your kid, right? I hear, well, my kid does it by themselves. Yeah. Okay. Like,
depends on the kid. Yeah.
All right. 1 person out of 1 million. Okay. So that's your choice. They also have a flex option, which I really like. I have a friend who's doing that option, which it's more flexible. You're still enrolled with the school system, but you pick your classes. Okay. Which I actually like that. You pick which classes you're going to do. Okay. That's that. Or you can also enroll with the state. Whenever you enroll with the state for homeschool, as a homeschooler, you have to go to a yearly evaluation. Okay. It's not a big deal. It sounds scary. I honestly have never done one, but I've heard that these people that do these evaluations they used to be teachers, they're homeschoolers too, and they're very homeschool friendly because they deal with a lot of homeschoolers, and they don't compare your child to other children in the school system. They compare them to themselves. They just want to see progress once a year. If you don't want anything to do with that, if you're me and you're like, I'd rather walk barefoot over cut glass and land in alcohol than deal with a government official, then you do what I did. And that's enroll with some kind of umbrella school, right?
Someone asked about that too.
So there are, in Florida, we are lucky. We have an umbrella school called Florida Unschoolers, where you enroll with them and that's it. It's like you're enrolled in a private school. The government doesn't bother you. But there's a catch to that. I haven't done so for Dean yet. Let me tell you why. Because if your child needs services, so like therapy services, they just remove that where you cannot be enrolled under an umbrella school. So you have to be enrolled for the state. So anyways.
So yeah, back to the question, you know, which is
how many hours?
How many hours? So what I put here is just, you know, the first questions we ask, and these are the most important questions, are who is your child and what does your child love? And that's where we start. And then when it comes to like, how do we spend our time? How much time do we spend? Number one, we learned this from Anna also, which is we spend about 80% of their time in their sweet spot. And if you were to break down a day of what Desmond does, I would say it's 80 to 90% of the time in his sweet spot. And what that is depends on the day, depends on the month. Sometimes they learn new things. It could be beatboxing, origami, drawing, you know, arts and crafts, you know, making stuff, science. There's just, the possibilities are endless, and it's fascinating to see and watch them. But like during a normal school year, if we had to average out like how much time they're spending, I would say 2 hours a day for Des and 1 hour for Dean, because when you factor in like 4 hours for STEAM or like 3 hours for STEAM, or
we utilize a lot of co-ops.
Yeah, so that's like, that factors into the average time, right? But we're not doing all of their homeschool with them.
It's like an hour a day, honestly.
Yeah. Well, what we do.
We do. Yeah. And that's the thing, like formally me sitting there, like, you know, we have little routines, like does his math drills in the morning. And then we have classes that we utilize like with co-ops. So they're off for 3 hours a week, either in Spanish or in language and math. And I kind of outsource the boring stuff, if I'm honest. So like the language, like math, like I don't want to hear kids crying and bothering me.
So I want to answer this next one because I thought this one was a great question.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Can my child participate in school teams if homeschooled? How do we find info? One of the many links, we're up to like 10 or 11 links already that we've written down, but one of them is a link to an article. And I didn't know this, and I don't know if you know this, but Tim Tebow wrote a book on homeschool.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I'm going to read that now.
Yeah,
I'm really excited. Just from the article, we're going to share the link to the article, but it was just awesome to listen to him, because if you guys don't know, like Tim Tebow was homeschooled, and then he enrolled at University of Florida, and he actually was able to start in the spring instead of the fall, because he was done with all of his homeschool stuff. I was a grad assistant at the time, and so I got to meet Tim when he was very, very young, before the school year even started. And gosh, this kid was just, when you think about like all the areas of development, when it comes to social, everything that you can think of, this kid was just like, you could tell that this kid was like just a really good kid, very well prepared, great manners, just everything. And, he even beat up on older football players. Like I remember, I told this story the other day. Tim I was at a pool party. I was a grad student, so I was just a few years older than these guys, and they were playing football in the pool. And Tim Tebow manhandled Brandon Sykes, who was a junior linebacker at the time. And Tim was like, freshman coming in. So Tim was the first homeschooled Heisman winner,
wow.
Which is really, really cool. You got to find out your state's rules. Like, how do you find out? Just look into it with your state, like in
your local district, like go to the local school.
Yeah.
And find out.
Because in the state of Florida, like homeschoolers are able to compete in the Florida High School Athletic Association as long as they live in that zone. So if you live in that zone, you can do that. And I would even think that maybe if you wanted to play for a private school, you wouldn't even have to live in that zone, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, maybe there's like a tryout or something,
Yep.
Okay, next question. Do homeschool programs provide certificates to be used later for college acceptance? Yeah, anyone can get a GED, guys.
Yep.
Some of these questions honestly make me giggle just a little bit, because here's
know.
the hard part. I know, but the hardest part that you guys are going to find about homeschooling is literally unschooling yourself and your own brainwashing. Because believe it or not, me and Danny, we still have some leftovers.
Oh, for sure.
It's really hard to unbrainwash yourself. So, because you still have that, like, oh my gosh, they need to hit these. Oh my gosh, math.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, like, do I know calculus? No, I don't remember. So anyways. So yes, a GED. You could get a GED whenever. Well, actually, you have to be. Do you have to be 16, or do you have to be? See, I need to know. I would love to know.
Yeah, I don't know by age, but a lot of homeschooled kids go to college early.
Right. So a lot of homeschooled kids you could go to college early. I'm pretty sure you could take courses at a community college as early as 14, which is honestly, guys, like, especially when it comes to high school, I'm sorry, that is the hot waste of time. Like, that is where we literally extend childhood to a point of pure and utter torture. And don't tell me I'm wrong, because I skipped my entire senior year, and so did you. So did you.
So also
so John Taylor Gatto, yeah, this is really good stuff, because I want to talk.
And I put a link to that short, just that snippet,
little snippet.
That 6-7 minute snippet.
Yeah, and if you're hardcore, you'll watch the whole 5 hours multiple times, like we have. But
yep.
So John Taylor Gatto, if you don't know, if you haven't heard us talk about him 5 million times before, he was a public school teacher in New York City. And he was middle school. So he had 13-year-olds, and he was teacher of the year. He had 30 years of experience when he finally quit by submitting his resignation letter to the Wall Street Journal. But he learned a lot, and he's a very, very, very smart man. Well, rest in peace, he passed away, but he was a huge advocate for unschooling because of what he realized as he worked in the school system. And one of the things that they asked him was about college acceptance, because he's just very smart man, very well connected. And he talks about a time where he was interviewing, basically talking to the people who were head of admissions for Princeton and Harvard. And he asked them, like, what is it? Because guys, think about it. If you're applying to FIU, that's different than applying to Yale or Harvard or Princeton. Everyone there has a good SAT score. Everyone applying to that school has a 4.0 or a 5.8. Okay. Everyone there is psycho and took AP classes and is like, we're type A, it's awesome.
Yeah, and you know, community service and all that.
And community service. Oh my gosh, that was a sport. So what makes you different, right? They need to know. Everybody looks the same on paper. So he talks about how, what is it that you guys look for on these applications? They said they don't even read the top part because, again,
that was
shocker.
Princeton.
Yeah, shocker. You had a good SAT. Yeah, we know you're applying to Princeton. So they go straight down to hobbies. Okay. They want to know two things. Are you going to make them rich? Or are you going to make them famous, right? Are you going to be a famous person or are you going to be a rich person? That's what these colleges care about when they are accepting people. And how do they tell? They go to your hobbies, because people's hobbies and what they do in their free time tells a lot about them, right? So they're looking for specific things too. They're not really necessarily even looking for team sports. Danny got lucky. They're like, awesome, we need a running back. We're going, you're accepted to Columbia. Perfect.
Yep.
But really, they are looking for helix sports. And basically what a helix sport is, the difference between that is like something that you're on your own. So like rowing, right? You rowed by yourself across the Atlantic and a storm came and like you almost died. Like that's literally what they want to know.
Yeah.
They want people who take risks, people who, which is really weird how that works, right? Because that's what they tell you not to do in the public school system. But then the people at the top know that they want the people that take risks. So
yeah,
it's almost like they don't.
Well, that's why I just posted a quote today. Oh my gosh.
That's from the General Education Board. I can find that quote quick.
No, but it was Woodrow Wilson. This is a different one. This is a Woodrow Wilson quote that I just reshared from August 5th, like 8 years ago. And it was talking about how his view of education and how they viewed it was that they were going to produce two different types of people. One of them, which is a very small group, was to be educated, and the rest of the group was to be molded and, trained to be, line workers, the busy work, the non-skilled, all that stuff, which I wish I'm going to look for that quote after. But what Mauda said, 100%, like, are you going to become wealthy or are you going to become famous? Because if you're wealthy, you can donate to them and increase their endowment. If you're famous, you're like a walking billboard.
Yeah.
And then they said specifically, the Harvard person said, a record of excellence. And how do they add value to people around them in a way that catches public attention? So like what Mauda said about, they gave several examples of people like navigating the Atlantic, by themselves, like 15, 16-year-old girls.
Oh, well, the specific example that he actually gave, John Taylor Gatto, of an actual person that got accepted to Princeton was a guy who, in his hobbies, he basically had created his own sport in unicycling.
And it was on rough terrain.
He invented it on rough terrain and then competed against himself for years and became an expert at this sport that he invented. Okay, guys.
So when your kid comes,
this is the kind of stuff,
those weird ideas that you're like, where's that going to take you? How is that going to help you?
Don't kill their vibe, please.
Don't, man. Don't bust their bubble. Don't burst their bubble. And the other thing is, like Mauda mentioned, how their hobbies, but just to go a little bit deeper, they're looking for physical, intellectual, and social hobbies. So, you're going to have that physical hobby, that helix sport. You're going to have the intellectual stuff. What are you into? Do you like philosophy? Do you like science? And social hobbies, like how are you connecting with your community? Right. So how do you come up with topics, for instance? Oh, wait, I'll say this one and then you can just go to this one because I
already did that one.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So for instance, Philosophy Friday. So using websites like philosophyforchildren.org, thinking of specific topics like stoicism, like you can say, okay, this week we're going to talk about stoicism, or we're going to break down stoicism into 3 weeks and we'll focus on perception, and then we'll focus on action, and then we'll focus on the will, like the ability to follow a process indefinitely with no regard to the outcome, focusing on processes, and you can even look through your if you had classes that you took in college that you loved, look through their syllabus, because like everything's online. With Columbia, we had a classical education. So the first 2 years are the core curriculum and pretty much everyone takes those. And
I think the Ivies have a lot of their stuff online for free for those who have like college or high school age.
Yeah.
Kids.
Everything is online. And, I looked at my reading list for like, contemporary civilization and literature humanities. And a lot of this stuff is not, he's not there yet, but I cannot wait till he gets to an age where his brain development is where he'll appreciate the ideas in these books, because a lot of these ideas are what have shaped Western society for thousands of years. So it's important to know history. It's important to know philosophy and all those things. That's why, the classical education is, a lot of people who love education, they believe in the classical education because it just focuses on things that we don't do anymore. Everything, I'm a capitalist hardcore, but like the specialization of labor, there's a downside to that. Like if you're an expert in making a chair leg, like what else can you do? What else do you have to offer? It's just a different way of looking at it. So
that's for the topics.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you take this question too? Because I actually am gonna.
You're gonna leave out? Okay, no, that's good.
You guys, I'm gonna take a call, but it's literally gonna be 1 second because this is my life. This is multitasking, and I have like 40 jobs.
I love it. My wife.
I'll be right back, guys.
My wife is a G.
Sorry.
Go for it, my love.
I'll be literally right back.
Do your thing. So I'm gonna talk about this next question, which is, do you have the entire Tuttle Twins collection? And if you guys are just joining, don't worry, Maura's gonna come back. So. Do you have the entire Tuttle Twins collection? Is this a good resource? First of all, absolutely, it is a very good resource. They teach children about economics and about philosophy, and the books that they're going over are books that you didn't really read, like The Creature from Jekyll Island. It talks about the Fed, the Federal Reserve. They talk about the miraculous pencil, which is they adapted from I Pencil, which is an amazing essay. If you guys want to ever look at it, it just goes into what I was just talking about, the division of labor, where you see this pencil and you just think, oh, look, it's a pencil. There's a pencil factory, but there's the rubber, there's the aluminum, there's the paint, there's the wood. There's so many different pieces of it that come together, and all of those people are working hard, and it's just really cool. So I absolutely love it. We're missing the last two. But my friend Raymond just had a daughter like last fall or winter, or it might have been, she might have been born this year. I don't remember, but he already has the whole collection. And so we may just buy the whole thing again because the new collection has all the books, and it also has workbooks, which we've never gotten. So the other thing is we'll just give away our old ones, but we absolutely recommend them. And they, if you want, we did an episode. If you guys don't know, we did an episode with the author of the Tuttle Twins series, Connor Boyack. So definitely check out that episode. And then, how can I create a balanced unschooling environment when my kids are so far apart? I would love to hear Maura's thoughts on this. She'll be back in like a minute. But this woman or this person says that she has a 1-year-old and an 8-year-old, and this is a great question because we focused only on Desmond until the last year or so. Like Dean is 6; he turned 6 in June, and it's only this year that we've started to do homeschooling stuff with him. 1-year-olds, play with them, teach them practical things like how to tie your shoe. Like when they're young like that, it's all about teaching them life skills. And more importantly than anything is focusing on character, developing character. You want your kids to have good manners. You want your kids to do well in life, and they're not going to do well if they don't know how to look someone in the eye and shake their hands. We've gotten really, really good feedback from people like, wow, like I can't tell you the last time I met a kid and he looked me in the eye and shook my hand. And I can't tell you how many times I hear that about Desmond, and it's a point of pride for him. When he sees someone, he meets someone, he looks them in the eye and he shakes their hand. And I'm so proud of him, just watching him do it. But yeah, like it doesn't matter their age. So I basically talked about like kids really far apart in age, 1 and 8. How do you do homeschool with them? And like, we didn't even start doing stuff with Dean.
Well, you don't have to homeschool your 1-year-old because they're 1.
Yeah, just play with them. Teach them life skills when
One-year-olds
they're
are
young.
life skills, and it's like there's always like different things to learn from different stages. Like they can be learning how to have independent play. You know what I mean? That's a really good lesson for toddlers. So if you have a toddler, they can be learning independent play for those that time that you're spending with the older one, you know what I mean? And it's going to be short, honestly. Like I'd rather do like short little bursts than
long marathon.
then like, yeah, well, either way, the kids aren't going to do it. Mine will literally cry.
Okay, so this is your favorite question, so you might as well answer this one, because you were happy about this one before we even started. So
math unschooling, how does this work? Okay, so this is a great question, and honestly, I had this same question until someone just told me something very honest, which is, how much math do you need? Like, realistically, how much math do you guys use in your real life? So basic math, beyond basic math, most people don't need that. And to all the teachers who would tell me that I would never have a calculator in my pocket, yeah, I do. So there's that. But no, so math, look, Desmond taught himself to count. There's so many ways that I taught my kids to count, like sticker tattoos. That was a really good one. Like, I'd be like, let's count to 30. And like, they love to count to 30.
Counting the change at stores.
Counting change at stores. Remember the word homeschooling? We don't love that word because it assumes that you're just home all day, you know? And maybe now these days we kind of are home all day, but, usually you're out and about, you know what I mean? My kids are learning from just being in the world, and they earn their own money. So they'll count their own money. They pay for their toys or whatever. Counting bacon. I remember like, oh, how many bacon do you want? Right. And I would make I
made myself 2 and I gave Dean 2. I remember that.
Right. So let's say if I made, Desmond wanted 2 slices of bacon. I made 5. So I'm like, all right, well, how many are for me then? So it's just, that's basic math. That's easy. Now we could do drills and stuff like that. But honestly, guys, unless your child is planning on doing something that requires extensive math, it's not necessary. It just isn't, because the truth is that I took calculus. I was a math and science girl. I took calculus. I took trig. I loved trig. I was really good in trig, but test me right now. I'm not going to remember that stuff, guys. It's a freaking waste of time.
Yeah, look, if your child is a math whiz and zooms by,
then good for them.
Right by your skill set and your knowledge in math, that's when it's time to hire a tutor. This is how we approach all of this. Everything is on an as needed basis. So really like this question too, because I think it's important, at least in our experience. My daughter is a hippie, free-spirited child. How much should I try to structure her? So for us, structure comes from schedules and habits and establishing boundaries. And free-spirited children generally enjoy structure and crave it. It just, you gotta do it the right way. It can't be the type of structure that I think some people are thinking about. What would you say?
It depends on the person, because honestly, like I would say that, I don't know, like I do think that I need structure, because like I'm taking myself, for example. Like I feel like structure is good, like having a routine, but having like firm structure for me when it comes to like what I'm going to learn and what I'm going to do that day is totally dependent on my mood.
Yeah.
So for me, it wouldn't really work. It's like, let's set our intentions every day, right? So that's where you can take your free-spirited child and say, hey, every morning, how are you feeling today? What are you thinking that you're going to want to do today? You know what I mean? Like, how do you want to spend your time? And guys, when you put that on them, they really think about that. Instead of you just being told what to do, think about just being told what to learn all your life and then being an adult. Like, that's why we have the world that we live in, which is people who don't want to learn anything. Just look around. Nobody cares to learn. Nobody wants to learn anymore. Nobody knows how to research or do anything. And that's just because they've been told their whole lives what to learn. So they're not taught how to learn, you know what I mean? Or how to spend their time. Like it's so important. I'm literally learning now as a 35-year-old, how I need to have a routine and spend my time, like how I need to delegate certain things, right? Like,
I think also you hit on something that kind of I didn't think about. And it's this whole phenomenon that we see right now with so many people just parroting things that they hear or that they watch, and there's no synthesis, there's no thought process. So like, you know, you come from an environment where authority figures, they fix your problems. Jimmy's not sharing, go get an authority figure. The authority figure fixes it. The authority figure tells you what to learn, how to learn, all that. And then why are people surprised when they grow up and there's no critical thinking? It's just like, oh, no, you're wrong because so-and-so said this, and that's it. And it's the end of it. There's no questioning. And that's, you know, that's why questioning is so important. And like, you're not really taught to question things when you're schooled, period. It's not a conspiracy theory. I know everything now is like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. No, it's just, let's look at the fruits.
I think there's been a lot of, I think at this point it's a little bit different. Like honestly, COVID, I can't tell you that I'm almost a little bit grateful for it, even though I literally could loathe nothing more than coronavirus. But I am a little bit grateful because it has exposed a lot of things. So maybe people who didn't consider themselves conspiracy theorists before have realized now, like, hold on a second. What? They're literally censoring doctors, triple board certified, like legitimate doctors for having a different opinion.
It's so dangerous.
It's so dangerous. And so I do think people are waking up. And so if they can do that, they can do it in schools, guys. They've been doing it in schools. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to get into this. So what's the next one?
11.
Should I enroll my daughter in an umbrella unschooling program for the first year for support? So I'm going to answer this question. It depends though. I don't know. I honestly don't know of any other things like Florida unschoolers. This is very, very unique.
Because there's not really like what type of support will we get?
Because we are considered an umbrella school, but other umbrella schools are schools. Does that make sense?
Really?
Like this is literally like.
This is a little hookup that we got.
It's a hookup, but anyway. So yeah, well, look, honestly, I utilize co-ops. I do not do everything on my own because I'm a busy person. You guys know that we have a home business. I have another business that I work. Like we have a lot of stuff going on and my kids deserve to get what they need. So since I can't be giving it to them all the time, I find resources. So check on Facebook, go to Facebook groups, start getting connected in communities because those are the people that you want to talk to because they know, right? Like they're the ones that have been doing it longer and I can only advise in my area. But if you want to know what's in your area, start going on Facebook and like, let's say, look, I live in Tampa. I'll start typing Tampa homeschoolers, Tampa unschoolers. I'll start doing searches like that for groups. Facebook groups is lit. There's so many groups on Facebook. Yeah. Okay. There's so many homeschool groups in my area that I don't have time for all of them. Does that make sense? So start getting connected. And co-ops. I utilize co-ops because I can drop off my kid for 3 hours at STEAM. You know what I mean? It's worth every penny. Now they're part of, it's called Urban Cottage. It's kind of like a Montessori type educational, 5 kids or less per class. You know, to me, that's worth it. She's going to take care of it, help me with language and math. So definitely if you're busy and your kid also does crave that more social interaction like Desmond, co-ops, groups.
Yeah, like Florida unschoolers for us, we love it because, you know, it's literally like we don't really interact with them much until, you know, the lady who runs the group says, hey guys, it's time to submit your attendance. And we submit our attendance for the year and that's that. But if, like Maura said before, if you have a child that can benefit from services that the state has to offer, like therapy and things like that, then you have to look at how becoming part of an umbrella school affects that, or if you have to register through the state. What certain things need to be done in homeschool. I just started with morning routines, schedules, working out, time outside, play. What else do you think? I mean, I think those are needs. I mean, they change as they grow older, but.
Yeah, I don't understand the question that much, but what we need is morning routines, healthy diets, healthy activities during the day. So like my kids are watching TV now, but they were outside playing all day. So I make sure that they get out. Look, I live in Florida. I know I've lived in Florida my entire life. I shouldn't act shocked that it's going to rain every afternoon in the summer. I already know this. I've lived here my entire life. So because I know this information, every morning, although my kid wants to watch TV and he will beg me and he's a very strong-willed kid, I'm like, no, you cannot watch TV. You have to go outside and play unless it's literally pouring down rain. Okay.
Yeah.
Stay outside until it pours.
Yep.
So they need to get outside. They need to move. Okay. And that's something that in my opinion is highly, highly lacking from schools, is the lack of activity, the lack of movement, and that's lack of time outside.
And free play.
Yeah. Unorganized, not unsupervised, but you know.
Let them play.
Let them do it.
What does the future look like? This one's hard for me, man. It's so hard for me to just like, I know what you mean. Like some questions alone, the question alone triggers you.
It does trigger me.
What does the future look like for homeschooled children, like
They're just
going
bums.
to college?
They're just gonna be bums.
I think it looks good, as good or better than anyone else's. Like, go back to John Taylor Gatto, what we talked about. Let's talk about even college. I mean, college is an option for some, and it's not an option for others. And we are not decided yet whether college is a good option for them. It's become a huge racket.
Look, I went to school and I got to college extremely unprepared. So I honestly don't understand the question.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I went to school. I went to the thing that everybody's like, gotta go to school. I'm like, I did it. I did AP. I got straight A's. Still at college, like, what? And
the other thing that I wanted to say is, like, just remember that employees are rarely ever millionaires. And what schooling does, and a lot of the time what college does, is it teaches you to be a good employee. And look, again,
there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what
nothing
you
wrong
want.
with it.
If
Nothing
that's what
wrong
you
with
want.
it. But like, it's just not how we view things. And just, again, millionaires, like, if you want to be a millionaire, if you're that type of person that you're like, you're really driven and you want to make a difference that way, like you want to be a high powered like CEO, you want to start your own business. Most of those people didn't go to college. But if they want to go to college, they'll be as prepared or better. We have the Homeschool Legal Defense Fund. There was a huge landmark study that came out 10 years ago that goes over a bunch of statistics. And homeschooled children generally do like 30 to 40% better across the board, and even in social development. That was the one that I thought was really interesting.
Guys, the social development thing is a farce. And at this point, it's only worse. So now nobody can tell me anything about that. So, by the way, just to touch on that social stuff, like I've said it 1,000 times, but when your kids are homeschooled and you're out in the real world, they're actually very well socialized because they're having interactions with people of all ages, as opposed to only taking social cues from other 3-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? So that's one of the best compliments I get, actually, is how well socialized my son is, how he looks people in the eye when he shakes their hand. And then it has personality. You could put me in school. It didn't make me social. I'm like, if anything, it made me more antisocial. And it, so that our personalities play a role as well. So, and then as far as like college, well, homeschooled kids maybe won't be as burnt out when they get there. College, honestly, unless you're going to be a thing, like something like a doctor or a thing,
a lawyer,
where you need the letters.
Accountant.
You need the letters. Okay. You need the letters after your name. It's, at this point, it's looking a lot like slavery to me, because we have so many people, these poor kids, for real,
and no one teaches them not to take the loans.
Unfortunate soul. Like, literally, that's how I feel, because you're one of them.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. And it's only gotten worse since we've been there. We have these poor kids coming out of college who have been sold the most expensive lie that they've ever been sold. They got their degree and their PhD in liberal arts, and nobody cares because they can't find a job now. And now you're in debt. So you literally come out of college and you're a slave already, which brings me to, why don't you talk about praxis?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So,
because this is a thing.
Yeah. So look, this whole thing with the debt slavery is really bad, because in the last, I think 10 years, 20 years, the colleges have increased their tuitions every single year without any issues at all. And what do they say? They're like, no one tells them anything. And guess what they do?
Nobody says anything.
And guess what they do?
They keep sending their kids.
They say, hey, you know what? Take more loans. We're going to make sure that we have more subsidized loans so that we can get our children the education that they need. And, everybody thinks, well, I guess this is a necessary evil. You could have bought a house. You could have put that money down on a house, whatever. So praxis, what I love about praxis, it's been going on forever. There's other organizations already now. This was a concept that I think started like 8-9 years ago, that we were super excited even back then. But now that we realize like what a racket college is, we realize it's even better. So praxis, if I had to, like, in a nutshell, they only work with small companies that have 50 or less employees, or if they work with a big company, it's got to be a business unit that has 50 or less employees. And what it is, it's a 1-year program where they spend half the time working and they're getting paid to work. So that's part of it. It's a paid job. And the other half, they're doing online classes. So picture this. This is what I always love to do the comparison, because like picture you're 18 years old, you kind of were lucky enough to have parents, or you yourself didn't think college was the thing for you. All your friends went to college. They're texting you left and right. You're missing out. You're missing out. You know, and now it's sophomore year.
Missing out on what? Kegger.
Yeah, keggers and parties and like all that stuff, and like living in a fake environment where like everybody's, you know, all these kids, like their parents, or their parents are paying for gorgeous apartments, because nowadays like you can get, you know, the dorm life is not even what it used to be. Like there's apartments, and so these people have these crazy built up expectations. And I know so many people, even in my generation, that had to downgrade when they graduated college to, you know, how much, I mean, I lived in New York City, so I understand, like we were on prime real estate, and our room and board was $7,000 a year. So it wasn't like, you know, compared to like, that's like 3 months rent in New York. But, you know, after a year, a lot of these kids, they get hired. And so now this kid's 19 years old, he's making a living, he's paying his rent. And, you know, his friend is still in college, still having fun, still has 3 years left, and is not moving forward in any way other than, you know, like enjoying. And don't get me wrong, college was like a 4-year fun thing for me. Even though I went to an Ivy League school, I had to average 15 and a half credits a semester. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like it's just a fake thing. So praxis, I think, is a really, really good option.
It's a good practical option. Yeah. Like for people who are more entrepreneurial, like the kids don't have any big plans they don't want to be a doctor. They don't want to take traditional route, and they want to just get to work and find, you know, a good company to be entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. So where are we at?
This is another great question.
Oh my gosh. That triggers me though.
Does your state require you?
Like when people tell me, is because are they trying to tell me I'm unqualified?
Well, that's the thing. But a lot of parents think that they're unqualified.
They really
and
do
like
think that.
Foreign countries, like, you know, remember the Indian lady that looked at you like you had 3 heads? Because
it happened to me also with my friend from the gym. Where's she from? Is she Russian?
Russian? Which one?
No.
Well, I mean, different countries. In Germany, that's a big, like Germany, I think homeschool is really hard to do or
is it even legal?
I don't even know if it's legal. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but I think I heard
from other countries look at me like I have a death wish. They're like, are you crazy? Yeah,
that's such a risk to entrust your child's education to the parent versus a total stranger. So
I'm sorry.
As a parent, you are certainly not required to take a test to qualify for homeschool. The day that happens is like the final nail in the coffin for this country. But
that's the day Jesus comes.
If you look at the Homeschool Legal Defense Fund study that I mentioned earlier, there was no difference between children whose parents had a college degree and those whose parents didn't have a college degree. There was no difference between parents who spent more than $600 and less than $600. There's all these things that we think
help.
Yeah, and it's not even a factor. You have to grow up in a home full of love, a stable home, a 2-parent home, hopefully. I mean, it's much harder to do as a 1-parent. I mean, that's really, really hard for a lot of single moms and dads. But the environment is more due to stability and growing up in an environment of love, and not like the education of the parent. Because as we've mentioned at the beginning of this episode, we don't teach much. My son teaches me more on a daily basis than I teach him, and it's not even close. Like, Papi, did you know this? And he gives me all this stuff. He's talking about whales. He's talking about like just every weather.
Look, we're going to Mexico in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, so
tell them about Mexico, right? So that's the beauty of homeschool. Everything is learning. You don't have to go into this arbitrary building called school to learn things. You can, and now with the internet, there's like, I mean, I had to go to libraries to find information. Now I can literally Google
Dewey Decimal System. That was.
I can Google stuff and find information about anything in 1 second. So we're so blessed to have that. And it's just, they're always learning, guys. They're always learning. You know what I mean? Like everything is learning. It doesn't, yeah, I don't know. And so, yeah, real life, you know, like that's a perfect example. We would like to travel more, and that is our plan. But like my kids have already been to the Grand Canyon.
New York.
They went to New York.
Did they go twice to New York?
They've gone twice to New York.
Yeah.
But like, instead of reading about the Louvre from a book, I could just take them and they can actually learn. And guess what? They'll retain it. They'll retain the information because it's more relevant.
I want to talk about something because my friend Roy, my college roommate, Roy Altman, he grew up traveling. And I'll never forget, like when we were in college, we were taking, because you have to take music humanities, art humanities, literature humanities, and contemporary civilization. Those are like 4 of the classes that are like, you know, they've been the same for hundreds of years. And I remember when we were doing art humanities, how many times like we would look at a painting or a sculpture and Roy would be like, I've been there, you know? And like Roy, to give you an example, like I think, you know, it's just a correlation, but I think, you know, this is part of why Roy is who he is. Give you a little story on Roy. Roy's a 6'3", very good looking Venezuelan Mexican Jew, half Venezuelan, half Mexican Jew who
was just sworn in as the first in history.
Well, yeah. Well, let me start with college because like at Columbia, he played football for several years and then he played baseball the last couple of years. He went to Yale Law after. Yale Law is the best law school in the country, arguably in the world. I mean, Yale Law. And he, shortly after law school, he got a job that when he was telling me about the whole experience, he's like, it's weird because, you know, they told me that this usually takes 8 months, this process. And it took him 3 days. And by the end of the 3rd day, like he had, you know, so chief justices giving him a hug, and he was a prosecutor for the State Department. He did that for several years. And then a big law firm in Miami said, hey, we want you to join our law firm as a partner. Like, boom, you don't even have to pay your dues. You start as a partner. If you're a partner, you're making money off everything that they bill. He bought himself this really cool house that was like, it used to be a drug dealer's house, and he got a crazy deal on it. Gorgeous. Yeah, and Coco Plum. And now, like what Maura just mentioned, is that when he was 35 was when Trump submitted Roy's nomination. It was last year, and it took a long time. There were several, you know, the typical political crap. And when he was finally sworn in, he was the 2nd youngest federal judge in the country's history, and the youngest federal judge in Florida's history. And like, I know that this was this long thing, but like he traveled his whole life. And so traveling for us is a huge part of our homeschool. So
there's also a lot to learn
cultures
about how to be a good human being.
Yeah.
Which is obviously lacking in our society of schooled people.
Yeah.
Is how to be a decent human being.
Yeah.
And how to not be a racist, and how to be a normal, decent human being.
Yeah. We always mention that, like, you know, like think about, you know, and our boys, and I love this about them. I feel like it's mostly them, but maybe we've empowered them this way that we always want them to stand up for what's right, no matter what. It's all part of like the confidence that they have. They're rooted in who they are. They're grounded in their relationship with us. And so if they're out there, and we've been, let's say that by the time they're 18, they've seen so many countries and all this stuff, and someone's like, well, you know, those Arabs over there, they do this, and they're just gonna be like, what are you talking about? I've been there several times. And like, you just appreciate humanity more when you deal with people, because the first thing that people have to do, unless they're sociopaths, the first thing people have to do to treat people a certain way is dehumanize them.
You have to.
So you have to make it a them thing, and you have to make it, and they're this far away thing that they're not even a human thing.
Yeah.
When you interact with people, it's much harder to do that. So, yeah.
So, yeah.
So now the last question. I mean, it's perfect. We do this.
Yeah.
Should
parents teach physical education since schools are slowly eliminating it? By slowly eliminating, do you mean that it's gone? Because it's pretty much gone. I think it's like 15 minutes a day or something. If you're
twice
lucky.
a week or something.
I don't even know, but I would say it's gone. Especially since now it's more normal to be obese as a child. You just have to look at statistics. There's nothing, just look around. I mean, it's child obesity is on the rise. Absolutely.
And it's also about like who that makes you. Like when you see successful people, like what was it that was really Dennis? I can't tell you how many times Dennis Arnold has said he wants us to adopt him. I wish we could, bro. I wish we could.
Sign here.
So, like what do they say? Like, oh, what do you think was like one of the key ingredients of you becoming this successful person? And a lot of them played sports. A lot of them, did hard things as kids. That's like another, going back to travel. One of the things we want to do, and we're going to do that in Mexico, for example, is we're going to do zip lining, and we're going to do adventure and things that take them out of their comfort zone.
Things that are scary.
Yeah, because you have to, that's not something that you just wake up and grow up and just do one day to another. You kind of have to ramp it up, and so like doing jujitsu when we don't feel like it, like yesterday we stayed home from jujitsu, but they didn't want to go yesterday, but it was more because of we had stuff going on, and we've been good about jujitsu lately. Like we've been averaging 3 to 4 days a week with them. But the morning workouts with Maura and the morning workouts with me, like, they tell me what they do with her, which is really cute because we don't do the same thing. So like yesterday, Desmond and Dean were like, we usually run around the block with mommy and she times us or something like that. And then, and we just focus on fundamentals, like squatting properly, push-ups, pull-ups, progressions, all those things. And they actually like it. It's fun because they're like, mommy and papi, that's what they do, and we want to be like them. They're still at that age where they want to, impress us and do what we do. And by the time they get to an age where maybe they're not so into impressing us for the sake of impressing us, we will have built those habits to a point where it's part of who they are, So
yeah,
we have a bunch of.
It starts with you as the parent, right? We have to model the behavior. Like, I'm not going to be, it just would be so ridiculous, right? Like if I was like, imagine like Danny sitting on the couch, like eating ice cream with his imagine
I haven't eaten ice
like
cream
40
forever,
pounds
man.
heavier
I
or
want to eat
something.
some ice cream.
And then like being like, go work out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
guys, It has to start with us, and everything has to start with us. Another thing, are we learning?
Oh my gosh.
Am I seeking out information? When I see something on TV, do my kids, what do they see me do? Do they see me go, oh my God?
Well, we don't really watch the news.
Well, I don't watch the news.
But maybe that's the problem. We put something on
but not
watch.
that.
Yeah.
Everything, even in church, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Even when I go to church, if something sticks out, do I just take it, or do I go to my Bible, right? And say, let me check. Our kids are watching everything we do, okay? They are watching what we do, and they're going to follow. So if we're being, fearful, they're going to be fearful. If we're being a-holes, they're going to be a-holes.
Yeah.
Right? If we're being judgmental, they're going to be judgmental. And look, we're not perfect. I can be super judgy. I am the judge of all the Karen masks people, for sure. Like, I'm like, no, don't be judging me. I'm going to judge you back. Right? And then I hear my kids say something and I'm like, okay, maybe I should stop saying that. But it's the same thing with physical activity, and it's the same thing with learning. Like, they are watching us continue to expand what we know. We're always having conversations about hormesis and fasting, and what did I learn today on this podcast, and what book are you reading? They're literally listening to us be complete dorks all day, so they're gonna follow, right? Like, I can hope so. Maybe
I'm
they
so
won't,
grateful for that. I really am that we have that.
And look, I've seen it with my friends too. Like Megan, she's always reading. She loves to read. Riley's always reading. They're going to follow the behavior. Okay. So model the behavior you want to see in your kids and have fun with it. Homeschooling, honestly, is so fun. You're going to learn so much. You have a lot to learn too. And it's fun. Yeah. It's fun to learn with the kids.
Yeah. Like, I think we're getting right now, the next 3 years are going to be so fun for you. They're going to be so fun for me too, because we've been waiting for this time period that's about to happen for almost a decade. Yeah. And getting into these conversations, like Maura wasn't interested in history before, but now she wants to know. So like, she's going to be going through history. I'm going to be going through history with Desmond. I love it. I almost majored in history. My parents didn't let me. They didn't want me to. I don't want to say let me, because I wouldn't have never accepted that they don't let me do something. But like, I appeased them. I studied political science undergrad because I went to a liberal arts school. There was only 24 majors, and I was not going to major in biology or chemistry. So I picked history at first. My parents said, well, what are you going to do with that? So I said political science, and then they're like, oh, that's good. You could be a lawyer. I never was a lawyer. But yeah, like going through all this stuff, like the parents And I parents tell me this all the time, tell both of us, like, it's so fun to go through this with them because you're in this position where you're not threatened by an adult, for example, and you're not like, oh, I should know this. If you don't know it, you're going to learn it with them, and you're just going to, it's just something. Think about the idea. If you're on the fence and you're about to pull the trigger, think about, there's going to be a lot of struggle. There's going to be a lot of learning on both sides, like how to like treat each other and interact. But there's going to be a lot of beautiful times, and there's going to be a lot of shared experiences like that. You think about, like, part of what we do as parents is like creating good memories, like remember every summer we used to do this, and like they're going to remember when we used to do, this together. And for us, the connection with the kids is so important, like having that connection, because we want to be trusted sources of information, because we're not going to be censoring anything. We've never have. There's certain things that we'll say, well, I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer to tell you that one. But, I mean, the other day they asked what pedophiles are. And I said, they're very bad people who abuse children. I mean, we don't have to get into the details with that yet, but we've talked about rape. We've talked about consent. We've talked about, the first thing we ever mentioned with both of them was property rights. That was like so important. Like, who owns you? You own your body, not no one else. And if that's the case, we start there.
Everyone would just understand that one thing.
Yeah, that's a big one. Personal ownership.
Our number one rule that we have in our house, if everyone in this world would just follow it.
Do not encroach on the person or property of another. That's the number one rule. That means don't mess with someone's body or their stuff. If you're screaming in their ear, you're messing with their body. If you're at the gym and you're trying to take their piece of equipment because you think it's your turn, that's not how things work. And it's funny because our kids are so generous. We never made them share or anything like that. Like, people probably assuming like, oh my gosh, look at these little capitalist kids, growing up to be like, not, don't greedy. Care about
so greedy.
Society. That's, again, it's another misconception. Like, capitalism is good for everyone. And, these are things that our boys, like, we've seen them in action, So is there anything else, my love? I mean, I don't know. These were all the questions. We can talk about this
all day.
I know. This is our favorite topic.
Hopefully we gave some good advice on like just the logistics, because again, right now, everybody's backs are up against the wall. We totally understand that there's people that have no choice and you're going to have to send your kids to school, and we can only do the best we can. You know what I mean? Honestly, let's see what even happens, because they can supposedly put all these rules. It's one thing to put the rules and it's one thing for them to be played out. And I don't know about you guys, which anyone who's on here knows children. And I mean, I witnessed 2 kids exchange a mask at Armature Works. Like, have mine that I probably snotted in, and you have mine. And so I think that our kids, with how disgusting that they are, it's pretty safe to say that they're pretty safe at this point. I know that there's a concern for the teachers, but wasn't there like some study that came out like,
well, one claim
we have to protect immunocompromised teachers for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't like one of those weird sites. It was like what's that big British newspaper?
The Daily Journal.
The Daily something, not the Journal. The Daily something. They said that
Daily News.
The Daily News.
I don't know.
I don't want to say it's not the Daily Beast. That's a thing here. But like, basically they said that epidemiologists around the world have said that there has not been not one instance of a child infecting a teacher, which that blows my mind. I don't know if it's true or not, but let's say it's not true. Let's say there's been 100 children around the world have infected their teachers. What does that mean for the teacher? Is the teacher infected, and now the teacher was it hospitalized? Like, look,
first of
guys,
all, how would we even trace it?
Don't mess with the kids, man.
Don't mess with our kids.
Don't mess with the kids.
Plus,
Daily Wire, maybe Beverly. I don't know.
Actually.
All I know is that Glenn Greenwald writes for them, and he's a very objective guy. Like Glenn Greenwald, I don't even know where he stands. I think he's like a libertarian like us. But he writes pieces like attacking the left and the right. And I just forget the name of the journal. But look, bottom line, the kids, the kids are not going to, their mortality rate approaches zero. It's close to zero. If you look at the physiology of kids, they have high levels of melatonin. They have really strong immune systems. They have all the things that can go wrong with cytokines and the ACE2 pathway. Like these kids are equipped for that, you know? Kids get Daily Mail, nailed it.
I told you the Daily Mail.
Did you say?
Oh no, I said the Daily News. It's
Yeah.
the Mail. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's what it is. Daily
Nailed
Mail.
it. It could have been BBC, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
I would have been very surprised if the BBC put something out like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I would just say, if you guys have other questions, let us know. We're down to do another episode.
Yeah.
We
Well,
just don't
we're
know what
also-
you guys don't know.
Right. Well, we're gonna do another episode. We're definitely gonna do a series of some sort. And just bring on people who can help. So like, I want to get that guy Corey on. He's like big with like school choice and like kind of probably those logistical things that people.
And Isaac Morehouse, we
need to get Isaac Morehouse on to talk more about praxis and yeah, like other options. Oh, didn't we interview Matt
Bodro? Yeah.
Please check out our podcast with Matt Bodro.
Yes.
Put that link there too.
Yeah.
He,
what's the name
and
of it?
look for an Acton Academy in your area. ACTON Acton Academy. It's pretty much like an unschool school.
If you're if you're in NorCal, like if you're in,
but I don't know, what are they gonna do now? Have you heard anything? Like,
I'll talk to Max.
But I'm sure they're gonna have some plan that allows for some type of.
They spend a lot of time outside. These kids in this school, they created their own garden.
Their own playground,
and their own garden too. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Acton Academy, check it out.
Yep.
And I hope this was helpful.
Yep. So someone said
questions.
yes. Nicole said that she enjoyed listening to all of it. So thank you
you
so much, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope it helps you. And if you join us, welcome to the Weirdo Club. Hopefully it gets to a point where we're no longer considered weirdos, because like Mauda has said a million times, like we've gone against the grain so many times and it seems to be working out. We don't do it just to do it.
We don't do it to be against the grain. We just don't. We choose what we think is best.
Yep. Meredith and Eberly say thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Till next week or next time. Again, drop the questions in this live feed. You can always,
share,
DM us.
Share with your friends.
Yeah, share it with your friends who need some more practical homeschool stuff. All right,
guys.
Take care.
Hey guys, we're going to take a minute right now to tell you about one of our amazing sponsors, Santa Cruz Medicinals. Santa Cruz Medicinals is a company that we've been using for years now. They make high potency, high quality, lab tested CBD formulas at an affordable price. They offer ketogenic, paleo, gluten-free, sugar-free, lab tested formulas.
You all may remember when we did our cannabis series last year. One of the things we learned with CBD is that the research is pretty clear on dosage. 5 to 20 grams per kilogram is what you should be taking per day. And most of the quote-unquote CBD you see online and on Amazon is severely underdosed. Most of these products are offering dosages that are so low, you'd have to down a bottle a day. That's why we love Santa Cruz Medicinals, because they offer highly dosed, potent CBD with clean ingredients, and they have several cool products, but we want to share our favorites with you. So what are your favorites, my love?
All of them? No, really. I have yet to try a product from them that I don't love. However, I will talk about some of my ride or die products. So during my cycle, I get horrible migraines, guys. And my go-to is definitely their Peppermint Tincture or the 10,000 milligrams to get a potent anti-inflammatory dose. Peppermint has been shown in studies to relieve migraine pain. But let's talk about the pain salve real quick, because this I use for almost everything. And everyone in this household agrees we cannot live without it. So the CBD pain salve, it has clean ingredients that you can trust, but it also has peppermint, which really, really helps. And so what I like to do is I'll rub some on my temples, and it really provides instant relief for me when I have bad headaches. But of course, I'll use it as well for any muscle pain that I have.
Well, I'm personally a huge fan of the 10,000 milligram bottles of CBD in MCT oil. I put it in my coffee, and then again at night, I'll put some more in, like some broth or whatever drink I'm drinking, a hot tea, to get an adequate dose for the day. I also love the pain salve, especially when I'm extra sore. We usually take turns massaging it onto each other, and it always does the job. You guys also have to try the new CBD infused hemp and collagen protein. If you're a fan of horchata, you will love this one.
Oh, that one is so good, guys. We just tried it and it is so good. So yeah, if you're interested, check them out. You can find them at scmedicinals.com. And of course, don't forget to use the code FATFueledMom at checkout to save 15% on your order and get free shipping, guys.